time for the Susan Taylor Podcast, where we discuss the yoga of mind, medicine, and healing. Author of Feeling Good Matters, Sexual Radiance, and the Vital Energy Program, Dr. Taylor imparts authentic knowledge and practical tools that inspire, educate, and empower us to be a healing force for positive change. So join us and take your life and our planet to the next level.
Hello and welcome to episode 156, Vitality Revealed, 5 Skills to Support Positive Energy. I can't believe we've already completed the second week of 21 days of guided meditations for positive energy, and we're now beginning our third week. So we're well on our way to feeling positivity, at least I hope so, and that letting that inner light shine through that radiance that we're talking about. This past week, we've explored the topic of the mind and emotions as it relates to positive energy. We're reminded that the essence of meditation is awareness. And awareness is like space, and the thoughts, sensations, emotions, perceptions, even our feelings, well, they come and they go, really not affecting the space, because that space is unlimited and never changing. We also have spoken about how the body, mind, and spirit work in conjunction with one another to give us access to our inner radiance that really exists in the field of positive energy. So this week, for those of you that might be just tuning in, we're going to expand on the foundation of awareness and discuss the many ways you can incorporate lifestyle practices to reveal your vitality and actually manifest positivity in your life. And at the end of this episode, I'll give you the 5 components from my Return to Radiance book. If you already have that, that's great. You can follow along. And it's also the things that I use to keep myself in alignment with positive energy. We are aware and understand very simply is that everything that happens in our mind has a physical representation in our brain, and everything that happens in our brain really correlates with what's happening in the body. So we know that our perceptions, our thoughts, even our feelings and our emotions, as well as even memories, create images in our consciousness that influence what's really happening in the brain. And it affects our neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, opiates, and there's many others. Because it has these kinds of thoughts and feelings, sensations, they affect the body. And we study psychoneuroimmunology. And we learn that our mind, our body, and our consciousness is all connected and really affects how we're immune, what we're going to let in and what we're not going to let in, which is quite appropriate right now. We're talking about, the COVID-19 pandemic that's going on. How we deal with our environment and our biology are all woven together into a single process. And that single process, as I just mentioned, does affect our immune system. Just like our stress levels, our hormone levels, like adrenaline and cortisol, part of our stress circuitry, they're all part of a process too. So by influencing one, you influence everything. So when you experience negative or toxic emotions, such as compulsiveness, fear, anger, hostility, animosity, or even doubt. And then, of course, it creates stress within our organism, and that can damage our body. And through proper nutrition for the body and mind, we can actually reverse the effects of this experience, these toxic experiences, whether it's a toxic emotion or a toxic environment, toxic habits, substances, whatever's, when I use the word toxic, anything that creates an insult to the health of our organism. The key is to experience that inner silence, and when we experience inner silence, then our body returns to its baseline status, which is called homeostasis, and that's what happens when we self-repair. And that's why I really focus on teaching meditation no matter what. That's the practice that we do that doesn't negate proper diet, proper exercise, proper sleep patterns. All of those come together. There's never one little nugget that works. It's a combination of all. So how do we begin working to reveal our vitality? Well, in the last episode, I said a few things. I said one size does not fit all. The second thing I spoke about was I said start modestly. Don't try to do too much at once because that often sets us up for unrealistic expectations. And then I said start by paying attention to how you breathe. It's always about the base of breathing because let's face it, if you're not breathing, you're no longer existing in this plane as we know it. And you start with 3 to 5 minutes, maybe a couple of times a day, and you check. Those that are new, YouTube video day 3, I give a guided practice of how to get started with your breathing practices. So let's turn to the 5 skills that I've come up with to support positive energy. The first component is what we call awareness, which is really where mindfulness would be. Awareness is at the core of our being alive and vital. And awareness is what? Space. I've already spoken about that. We need space for our energy to flow. The second component is connecting to your breath. When the breath is brought under conscious control through awareness and systematic body awareness, then our radiance is revealed. The third component is self-reflection. To become aware of what dialogue we're really mulling over in our mind. What are we writing in our mind? Who and what is taking the space in our mind field? And much of it is not even paying rent, right? So welcome it, don't give it any space. But some people have a very negative self-narrative, and that leads to a prescription. It's really a prescription for depression. Part of well-being and essential to cultivating resilience and happiness is really welcoming the narrative, but understanding that the narrative is pre-programmed dialogue. Just recognize it for what it is. It's just a bunch of thoughts. Remember, in the first week of guided meditations for positive energy, I said that the essence of meditation is awareness, and awareness is pure space. The clouds are our thoughts, they come and go, but it doesn't affect the space, and that's you. You are the space. The fourth component is to feed your body clean, fresh foods that support your goals. I mentioned in the book, Return to Radiance, I do a whole 3 weeks of diets. The food that we eat, whether physical foods for the body or mental food by way of thoughts, associations, impressions, all are reflected in our consciousness. As I said, more of food in an upcoming episode if those of you are interested in me speaking about food. The fifth component is to meditate. Bring your mindfulness in component 1 that I spoke about and bring that into focus. What comes out of learning to meditate skillfully is that you identify your life's purpose. You come to know your own direction. It's about identifying your true north, your sense of direction in life, and most importantly, aligning more and more of our everyday behavior with a sense of purpose. Join me on YouTube, for our guided meditations. If you're just starting, they're still there. Go ahead and just enjoy. They're there, delivered every morning. They're guided meditations for positive energy. And it supports the program that's outlined in my new book, Return to Radiance, Transform to Vitality. And that brings us to the end of this episode. If you'd like to be notified weekly for new podcasts, please subscribe. The Susan Taylor Podcast is available on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn. Also on susantaylor.org, where you can click on the podcast to subscribe. Contact us at susantaylor.org if you have any questions, comments, or feedback. And thanks again for listening. The podcast does come out every week, and I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, remain calm, consciously aware, living in the moment.